So thank you for joining us this morning for our April Equity webinar, where we explore topics related to equity and graduation success. I'm Kathy Anderson, OSPI Graduation Equity Program Supervisor, and today's topic is Math 101, CTE Course Equivalencies. We chose this topic because CTE Course Equivalencies offer so much flexibility for students, and they're a great opportunity for student engagement. So as we think about what can be done with math, we want people to have all the options in front of them to be able to create those multiple pathways. So by the end of our webinar, we want you to be able to understand the CTE Course Equivalencies process. We want you to be able to identify potential state CTE course equivalencies for yourself, get a look at Washington's math data. We're going to get a look at the report card and maybe get some resources that'll help get you started. I'm joined today by Dan Tedor, STEM Program Supervisor here at OSPI, and Jeff Whitehill, Data Analyst for Achievement Data. I'm really glad you guys can make time to join us. So really lucky to have such great presenters. Here at OSPI, our vision is that all students are prepared for post-secondary pathways, careers, and civic engagement. And this webinar is brought to you through the Office of System and School Improvement. This afternoon, we're going to continue looking at math, and we're going to do growth mindset with College Ready Math Initiative with our own Barb Dietrich. Yay, it's going to be awesome. And we have Bellingham School District as well, and they're going to be talking about how they're getting growth mindset for their students through their program. Next month, we're going to be looking at mental health and social emotional learning. So crafting an integrated system of supports is going to be in our morning show, and we're going to be looking at early learning strategies in the afternoon. And we're going to get those links up in the chat, so if you want to register for next month or share those out with other people, it's a great opportunity to learn more. We are going to start off with a polling question just to give people an idea of who's here, so our presenters can kind of change their presentation based on our audience. So give us just a moment to run that poll. And as we are going through our slides today, we do answer questions. So we're going to pause periodically to answer those. Feel free to put questions you have for the presenters into the questions icon so that we can make sure and be responsive to those. And we're going to close the polls and we can see who's here. So it looks like we've got some teachers in our midst and some administrators, as well as a somewhat familiarity with our topic. So lots of room to learn and grow today. So why did we pick this topic? In looking at our statewide data, there are some interesting trends. According to results from the Statewide Healthy Youth Survey, 67% of 10th graders said that school courses are not usually interesting. Only 41% of them met math standards, which is trending up from 2014 and 2015. And overall, we're also seeing from our assessment data that 49% of Washington students overall met math standards in 2017 to 2018. These statistics kind of blew my mind. It is really shocking that only 41% of 10th graders met standards, which is why I think it's so important to talk about CTE equivalencies. Equivalencies really provide access to students with different learning styles, and they open up possibilities for choice that might make a course more relevant. So given the choice between some of these options, there's so much appeal to equivalent courses. And Dan is going to talk to us about what the course equivalencies are and give us some examples. So Dan?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dan Tedor, and I'm the STEM Program Supervisor here at OSPI. I also work within the K-12 spectrum and assist both science and mathematics and technology education and engineering where we see fit. So the great thing about state CTE course equivalencies is it's been recognized by the legislature to open up our CTE courses to meet academic rigor, to be posted and to be used as academic credit for students. So the great thing about state CTE course equivalencies is they provide flexibility for students. We know that we want to increase multiple pathways for graduations for students, and we want to increase those opportunities for students to get to graduation. And we know that that pathway looks different for every single student. So we want to make sure that we create flexibility in our plan. And so that's one way we've met that through CTE course equivalencies. Every single one of our CTE courses, whether it's an equivalency or not, are academically aligned. They have academic rigor to be grade level appropriate, either middle school or high school. And then our state equivalencies are all high school level, and they have been aligned to be academically rigorous. They also meet industry standard, which is a crucial part of career and technical education. So we have the academic rigor, and then we've ensured that those courses meet industry standards. The great thing about state CTE course equivalencies is they've been through an entire process to get there, and I'll talk a little bit more about that today. But these courses, like I mentioned, with the academic alignment, and if they are adopted as a state equivalency, earn that student that graduation academic core credit for whatever course it may be. The great thing about these equivalencies is they just need to be transcripted correctly, and that's all done at the local level. So working with counselors and whoever's doing this transcription process within your SIS system, so Skyward, so on and so forth. The course is actually listed as an academic core course first, and then a CTE course. So the SIP code, which I'll talk about a little bit later, is aligned. So it starts with the academic core course ID, the course title, the content area code. Then we pull into the state course code, and then any course designation codes. And we recognize those through CTE as SIP codes, CIP. So why do we do this? Again, opportunities for students, but we also like to follow the law. So that's an important piece to it. RCW 28A 230097 is all about career and technical high school course equivalency. And the legislature really put the work on our tables to say, what can we do to provide these opportunities for kids? So we found that we would provide these state equivalencies and the frameworks so that schools can adopt these course equivalencies, and then the student can either earn whole or partial credit depending on how well they do in the class. But then it's really each school should have a state equivalency is what we're looking at. And so we'll be pushing out more information on that as we go through. The great thing about these courses is the core academic requirement is met if a student successfully completes the course. So if the course is adopted as such as a state equivalency, then a student could earn that full or partial credit. And that records wise, I mentioned a little bit, just making sure that the local district is transcribing correctly as an academic core course first, and then a CTE course. And then this also aligns with future planning for students. So now that we're looking at our high school and beyond planned, and we're trying to do our best to make sure we're matching up our opportunities for each one of our individual students. So these equivalencies really provide that option for multiple pathways to graduation for students. So I have some example courses of courses that are already currently state CTE course equivalencies. So example, for Engineering Design 1, if adopted as a state equivalency under the SIP code 149991, would be an Algebra 1 credit. So the students that take that Engineering Design 1 course as designed in the state CTE course equivalency could earn that Algebra 1 credit. Here's another example. If they took the Animal Science course as designed as a state CTE course equivalency under SIP code 010901, the student could earn a biology or a lab science credit. And then just another lab science example, our food science and safety, which is under SIP code 011001. A lot of that is overwhelming looking at those SIP codes, but we have a full chart available on our CTE website. You could literally Google OSPI SIP code and you would come up with the entire chart. We also have on here the list of our current state CTE course equivalencies. We're opening this up to, we're going to have a bunch more in different content areas over the next couple of years. The legislature has charged us with doing this work, and we're excited to provide these opportunities. So here's some new ones that are probably not on that list that I provided because they are brand new. We have 3 different science credits available here. We have Automotive Technology 1, Automotive Technology 2, and Biotechnology. The great thing about state CTE course equivalencies are the frameworks are almost done for you. We have the academic alignment and we have the industry alignment done for you on those frameworks. What still is required by a local district is to complete the leadership alignment and the performance assessment. And that's a whole webinar in itself. So if you have questions, comments, concerns about the leadership alignment or performance assessments, I'd be happy to answer questions, probably outside of this webinar. For the process, we've identified a new process this year, and we're excited because it brings a lot of transparency to the process. So first, we start out with a request form. And through that process, what we do is we identify certain courses by their SIP code, and find what would be the best match or the best opportunity to make sure that these courses are academically rigorous enough to be a state equivalency in a certain content area. So we do that through the request form. So after we do that, we make sure that the zip code is there, the hours of instruction are relatable. So usually a state equivalency is about 180 hours. We align it with the academic content area, and then we also have to decide if it fits best under an exploratory zip code or a preparatory zip code. And again, that's a whole other webinar in itself, but exploratory is really an introductory option to explore areas of that specific pathway, and a preparatory is required to give students either a college credit through an articulation agreement, or they get an industry recognized certification. So after we've done those first two steps, we take a look at developing that course framework. And we don't just do that on our own. I don't get to sit in my office and make frameworks all day. What we do is we get to work with our content specialists in both the basic ed, general education world, and we also get to work with our CTE partners. The great thing about career and technical education is we also pull on our industry partners. So we have multiple people at the table creating these courses to make sure that they are academically aligned, industry aligned, and provide great opportunities for kids on their pathway to graduation. So after that course framework has been developed, we approve it by OSPI. That is a changed process. It used to have to go in front of the State Board of Education, but now we go in front of a committee here at OSPI with our content specialists, and we get the course approved. And then after state CTE course equivalency is approved, districts are able to adopt those state equivalencies, and then they would mark in however they're transcribing it. As I mentioned earlier, they'd mark that as an academic core course first, and then a CTE course. There's still some items that the district is responsible for even after state equivalency is adopted. The district's responsible for making sure that the teacher has the proper certification to teach the course. And through CTE, we do that under what's called a V code. So we make sure that the V code aligns with the SIP code, which ensures the teacher has the proper certification to teach the course. A good example, applied math, which is a state equivalency we have for both Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and we're working on geometry right now. Teachers actually have to attend professional development 3 times a year, or once every 5 years. So they get that content knowledge within mathematics to teach those courses. Other things they're responsible for is the leadership alignment. We always look for specific projects or activities that align with 21st century skills, and that's shown in the actual framework. And then we also take a look at the performance assessments, which are either a formative or a summative assessment that's particular to or specific to the actual unit of instruction. So we look at how those courses are developed and how students are being assessed, what's the leadership alignment they have, and then the district's really responsible for the teacher certification and some other stuff that goes along with it. So I talked about that here, but all of these things are very important. It's important to work with your SIS manager, so like your Skyward manager, to make sure that these are being transcripted correctly. We've seen some students in some cases miss out on opportunities just because a course was transcribed incorrectly, which can be fixed, but we just want to make sure that we're working with our partners to make sure that we are doing what's best for students from day one. Some quick facts for you. Last school year, we had over 9,000 students participated in a state CTE math equivalency. Out of those students, most common equivalency was for Algebra 1, with 2,300 students participating in a course for a CTE equivalency, which is great. We got to remember that CTE state equivalencies are high school equivalencies, so these are high school credits only. And then local math CTE equivalency is also popular. We had 9,700 students taking a course with a local math equivalency during the 2017-18 school year. So the difference between a state equivalency and a local equivalency is the state equivalency has gone through OSPI and been approved as a state equivalency. A local equivalency is approved locally by the school board. Here's some other data for you. We have Algebra 1, statistics, third year math, geometry, Algebra 2, 1 credit beyond geometry. We have a third year math and science, and then we also have some English third year math and science. We're going to expand into multiple content areas, especially English language arts. We're going to see a lot of our communications courses through the agriculture pathway. You're also going to see some through the STEM pathway. You're going to see a climate science technology course. You're going to see a robotics course. You're going to see lots. It's going to be a busy year. We're excited to roll those out in the next few months on some of those new equivalencies, and then we're always looking to add more to align to what's best for those students' pathways. So a couple of recommendations that we have from our CTE department here at OSPI. First, always work with your basic ed partners to ensure students have equal access to course content and graduation requirements. We want to make sure that students have multiple pathways to graduation, and so working with your basic ed partners within your district is very important. We want to make sure that we can do what programs to do to ensure all courses, including CTE, are academically rigorous. Through the state equivalency process, we already mentioned that each course is academically aligned, but we want to make sure that continues to happen at the district level. So bringing in your basic ed partners, whatever departments you can, to talk about that academic rigor that goes into each one of those CTE courses. Again, assuring that there's a properly certified CTE teacher is available to teach the course. That's a potential huge audit finding if a teacher is not certified and they're teaching a course that they don't have a certification for. So that's really important. Usually a CTE director would handle that, but some districts don't have CTE directors. So that's up to like the principal, the assistant principal, sometimes the superintendent in some cases. So if you have questions on that one, please don't hesitate to ask or reach out. We look at what are the professional development opportunities available for our teachers. We just don't want to have them adopt a course and then just leave them hanging. So like I said, through applied math, we have several professional development opportunities to get those teachers the academic knowledge and background and experience to be able to teach those types of courses. We have it in multiple content areas through our Core Plus program. We are working with ELA to come up with a bunch of those professional development opportunities as well. And as always, collaboration is huge. I know that when I worked in districts, and working with my departments was always very important, just because we're trying to do what's best for kids here. We're trying to make sure that we are providing as many opportunities as we can for students to give them that enhanced experience in high school that leads them to a healthy and productive lifestyle.
We are going to run a polling question, but while we're running the poll, perhaps we did get a question from the audience for you. Is the alignment of the academic content area equal to alignment with state learning standards?
Yes. So depending on the course, we'll say it's going to be a math course. We use Common Core mathematics and it's grade level specific. So we include the high school mathematics standards depending on which course. If it was a geometry course, we'd probably have most of the geometry standards in there. But then we also look at the algebra, their statistics and probability. They're all aligned to Common Core mathematics. All the other courses that are using the other content areas are all aligned to Washington State Learning Standards or Common Core where appropriate.
Interesting results. So looking at this, do you know what a zip code is? Yes, 70%, no, 30%. So do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, so zip code, classification of instructional program, really that's not important. What's important is that's how we identify our courses within CTE. So each course is given a zip code, which is aligned to a federal zip code, which shows that's how we identify the course and by a specific number. Like example, for robotics, it's 150406 is the zip code. I could probably name off a few others, but I'll spare your time. Just a zip code is just the way that we recognize a course. So when that's input into an SIS system or even our system, we recognize it by that specific course and the pathway that it belongs to.
So, and thank you for in the chat telling us a little bit about what CTE and what does extended learning look like in your CTE programs. We want to hear about what you've got going on too. And next up, we're going to have Jeff Whitehill. He's going to show us some really cool stuff. And well, before we go to that, let's answer a question. If an academic learning standard is listed on the CTE framework, does that standard have to be explicitly assessed in the CTE class?
Great question. So when the framework is developed, if it's a state CTE course equivalency, we would only list the standards that would be assessed in the course. There is still some flexibility within the district. The standards that are listed in the state equivalency framework, we're expecting those to be assessed. But if there's other standards that they would like to be added to that, they can. We just don't want to see standards being deleted from frameworks because they were developed by academic and content specialists, both basic ed and CTE. So we want to ensure that the students are getting access to those standards. And we also take a look at the state assessments to make sure that those courses are rigorous enough to get students to a place where they feel successful on the state assessment.
Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
So this is Jeff here. I'm going to show everyone a couple different data tools that you have to look at both math and CTE results. First one is a report card. Hopefully folks are familiar with the old one, maybe the new one, where you can see SBA math results. You can also see dual credit results, percentage of students that take CTE tech prep classes. And then the other system is the educational data system, also known as EDS, where you can look at some student level data and some other data on there. So the first we're going to do is look at report card. So from the K-12 website, if you click on state report card right here, it'll take you to our new report card website. Scroll down a little bit, you can see some of the things that are on here, things that will be coming soon. You can look at state data down here, or if you're interested in a specific school or district, you can just type it in and it should pop up. So I'm going to go to my alma mater, Juanita High School, and it's going to load. And what you're going to see is kind of a quick overview of SBA results, students that are enrolled, things like that. You can see the percentage that met math standards right here. If you're interested in more detail, you have all these domains on the left side here that you can click through. So you want to look at assessments. So what percentage of students met grade level standards? Right here is our math. And if you hover over it, there's a tooltip that'll kind of give the explanation and a little bit more of data points. You can see how many students. So back to it, the state report card is this link right here. I'm on the K-12 website. You scroll down, you can see this box here tells you what you can do on the report card, things that are coming soon. You can look at a specific school or district, or you can see data for the entire state. So once again, I'm going to go to Juanita High School, type it in. So this is the overview of the school with enrollment, regular attendance, graduation rates, things like that. And then scrolling further down along the left side here, you have different domains of data. So we're interested in assessment data. And we can see that 58.6% of students met grade level standard. You can see the number of students that were expected to test, the percentage that took the WAAIM, the alternative assessment. Across the top here, there's buttons you can look at the trend data, gone up a bit since 2014-15. You can break it out by grade, which at a high school there's a single grade, so that's not going to really break it out much more. You can go into details if you're looking for specific levels. The other data you can look at is under school quality or student success. You can look at dual credit. So 70.6% of students completed a dual credit course. And if you go all the way over to the details tab on this one, you can see it broken out by dual credit course type. So 45.4% of students at Juanita High School took a CTE dual credit course in 2018. If you're looking for more disaggregated data, back at the top here, you have diversity report. You can click that, and you'll see all these measures broken out by student groups. So you have here student demographics, which is going to be race, ethnicity, or gender. You can see the breakouts there. You can also do it by student program or characteristic, which is English learners, homeless, non-homeless, low income, and so on. So if you want to see any of the disaggregated data, we don't necessarily go into detail for all these groups, but you can usually see a summary or trend for them. So that's the report card. There's a lot on here, and we're constantly adding new features. If there's something that you don't see, you can check the coming soon, or you can email report card redesign. The other tool I want to show briefly is the Tableau secure data portal, which if you don't have access to, or you're not sure what that is, you can ask your district data security manager for access to the Tableau tool, EDS tool. But from the K-12 website, all the way at the bottom, you can click Education Data System, and you'll have to log in. So it's student level data, so you have to get permission to access. It's an application, so it's down here. You have the Tableau server. You can click that, and on this site we're posting new visuals once or twice a month where you can look at different workbooks. So we put out a preview of the report card in December. So that's these two workbooks. We put out a preview of the Washington School Improvement Framework update that's coming up, a preview of WaKids, so a lot of different tools, and we'll just keep adding them over time. But what you can do is click into a view. For example, this is a report card release, and because this is student level data, I can't show you too much detail, but on the enrollment, you can click into this and it should load. So right now we're looking at Federal Way School District enrollment data. You can hover over these just like on report card. If you're interested in the underlying data, if you click on a bar, you can click these three lines here, and right now you can see what is on the chart. If I click this full data, you could see every individual student that made up that student group. I'm not going to do that because it's student level data, but you can also download the file to do your own analysis. There's a lot of other capabilities on this server that you can explore. You can hide certain groups if you want to create your own view, exclude certain student groups, and you can always save a view by clicking on this button up here. create your own view. If you want to download data, I showed you one way. You can also drag and highlight. You can click download over here and click data. And if you've made a bunch of changes, the last thing you can always do is hit this revert button, and it takes you back to the original view. So that's Tableau, that's the secure portal. You can just check back on a couple times a month and we should have new tools on there for you.
My question is, who can access Tableau?
So it's an EDS application.
Right.
You have to ask your district data security manager for permission. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a district policy who they'll allow to have access.
Yeah.
That's so neat. So behind EDS, you have to have a login, but the report card data is out there and ready to be used.
Yep.
And WAKIDS is coming soon. That's pretty exciting.
WAKIDS is on there, on the secure portal, and it'll be out on report card soon. Again.
Awesome. So many opportunities to use data. We are going to run our evaluation. So thanks for sticking with us. We do want to know more about how we're doing so that we can improve every month. And a lot of the things we've done on Gate Webinar have to do with audience participation. So we appreciate your input. While we do that, we are going to share a couple of resources. If you get our PowerPoint slide, you can get links, just quick links to the CTE webpage, the report card, and EDS. So those are available to you. Most of our images come from the Creative Commons. So if you liked an image, most of those are available to you. Tags for who created them are mostly through the Noun project, and they're in the alternate text. And we do have contact information if you want to talk to Dan Tedor or Jeff Whitehill or me. We are available by email. Feel free to contact us and ask us your questions. If you're having trouble accessing the data, who should they call? What do you think, Jeff?
I would start with the district office, and then if you're still having trouble, OSPI customer support is probably your next best stop. And if they can't answer it, they'll let us know.
Yeah, for sure. If you do have more questions, we are going to be available in the chat, but we're going to go mute for right now. And here's some other things to think about. We want to encourage you to write down your thoughts from the webinar and kind of be reflective about what you've heard and how you can use this in your own work. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you this afternoon for Math 201.
Hi, this is Dan Tedor again. Just wanted to show the state equivalencies that we currently have in mathematics and science, and we have a couple in English language arts. I just went to the website. I just Googled OSPI CTE and then went to our website. And on the right-hand side, you'll see our state course equivalencies. In the specific pathways, we have several pathways that are recognized, but like, for example, financial math, which is zip code 270305, is through the business and marketing pathway. And that, if adopted as a state equivalency, would earn the student in Algebra 1 credit. We have skilled and technical sciences pathway recognized. For geometry, we'll have STEM here shortly. Applied math through Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 is all through STEM. Again, business and marketing through computer programming. Core Plus is through skilled and technical sciences. Business statistics is through business and marketing. Through our ag pathway, we have most of the biology and lab science, since those all lend themselves to more of a life science pathway. And you can see those all the way through here. Even our AP Environmental Science course under zip code 030104 is a state equivalency in lab science. So we have a bunch listed there for lab science. Even viticulture, which is a really cool program if you haven't seen that one before.
And has dual credit built in.
And has dual credit
Yes.
built in. Was that you at the Yakima Valley? Or?
I think so.
Okay, yeah. There's a lot of options. Veterinarian assistant, computer programming again. Core Plus is through Boeing. It's the content and curriculum that they have. I would encourage everyone to take a look. It's really cool material and provides students that academic credit. And we can see we have more life science or lab credits down here through the ag pathway. And then we also have the Core Plus, which is both a math and a science equivalency. And the great thing is if you click on, we'll just go to this first one, engineering design. If you click on the actual zip code, it brings up the framework for you. So you can see the framework and how it aligns to mathematics. We have our academic standards, industry standards. I'm going really fast, sorry. I'm catching up now. We can see our mathematical practices that are involved within this unit of technical sketching and drawing. You can see the math practices 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7. And then we have our Washington Mathematics Standards, the Common Core Standards for geometry, just one of them listed in there. We also have some art standards, and then moving through the different units, we can see the performance assessment would be developed locally, and so would the leadership alignment. So the stuff that's in here wouldn't necessarily be what's happening in your course, but those things would be adjusted locally. But the rest of it, we have aligned for you. So we have our industry standards based. This one in particular is based on the ITEEA technology literacy standards. And then we have, again, our academic standards that this course is aligned to. In both math, there's ELA, speaking, listening, and the science and technology literacy standards. And moving through, we encourage everyone to take a look at these. There's lots and lots that are here, but take a look at those state equivalencies. Again, I can take you there really quickly. If you just OSPI, CTE, the first one, career and technical education, you can click there. On the right-hand side, you will start to see our CTE statewide course equivalencies. Click there, and then you can see all of the courses that we currently have. And again, if we were to go back, you can see, I'm going to go up a little bit. The 3 that I mentioned earlier, which are new, those were just approved in May of 2018. Those frameworks are available here. A district wanted to adopt a state equivalency, they'd have to take the framework and then they would have to adjust the performance assessments and leadership alignment to be locally developed. Then the rest is good to go.
So Dan, I have a question for you. With dual credit, we're seeing a little bit more where our smaller schools in particular are needing to do some co-delivery of courses. And while we don't necessarily promote that as best practice for the blending of those learning, with the alignment to all those standards, do you see any of that happening at all out there? I'm thinking about how to expand these opportunities, and in those small schools in particular, do you see any opportunities where some of those courses could be blended together and offer kids different choices?
Yes, so that's one thing that we've had a lot of conversation here at OSPI, but also worked with a lot of districts on building those articulation agreements. So that's a local agreement between a school district and the college or the community college. As for like the state equivalency,
Well, that's an on-the-spot question.
No, it's a good question. So we even see the 2-for-1 that's happening a lot of the times. So a student, they will get both a CTE credit and a core academic credit. It just depends on the district how they're transcribing that. So there's options for the flexibility there. When it comes to the articulation agreements, that's all locally decided. We're working on statewide articulation agreements, but nothing promised yet.
So I just want to clarify one thing you just said. You mentioned the 2-for-1, which was originally utilized as meeting 2 graduation requirements with 1 course. Correct. What I heard you just say is you're seeing schools now who are able to give 2 credits for that class as opposed to just meeting the 2 graduation requirements within 1 credit?
No, just the graduation requirements.
Okay.
So they could take like applied math 1, right? And they could get that CTE, but then they could also earn that credit for be part of the credit for graduation for mathematics.
Meet that graduation requirement? Yeah.
Is that what I said? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that question's coming up a bit more with the interest in competency-based credit.
Yeah.
And given that you've done such great alignment of standards and that ability to see where those courses have met all those standards for that credit, I could see that becoming more common as well. Yeah. For schools to be able to do both credits using competency-based credits.
And this is another awesome opportunity to bring in your partners in the school district, right? So work with your math teachers and work with your science teachers and ELA teachers, whoever it may be, to make sure that this is actually what's being taught in the different courses. And we have found that a lot of the times that our basic ed partners are like, oh my gosh, yes, we want to do that in our courses too. There's some limits to CTE, obviously, but we can definitely work with our district partners to do what's best for kids.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks for that additional support, Dan.
No problem.